While the story of Joseph Miller on Route 44 is etched into local history, there are other mysteries that don't leave behind physical clues. They don't leave footprints in the mud or rusted knives on the floorboards. They exist in the air, in the invisible waves that surround us every second of every day. They are the frequencies of the forgotten. My name is Thomas. I'm what you might call a radio enthusiast. While most people my age are scrolling through social media or losing themselves in streaming services, I'm in my basement, scanning the shortwave bands. There is something hypnotic about the static. If you listen long enough, it stops being noise. It starts to sound like the universe breathing, like the collective hum of every thought ever conceived, drifting through the ionosphere. But 3 years ago, I found a breath that wasn't supposed to be there. It was a Tuesday night around 2 in the morning. A heavy storm was rolling in, the kind that makes the power lines hum and the dog whine in his sleep. I was scanning the frequencies near the 7 megahertz range, looking for a weather broadcast when the static suddenly cut out. It didn't just fade. It was replaced by a silence so absolute it felt heavy. Then came the tone. A pure, cold, high-pitched sine wave that felt like it was drilling into the center of my skull. It wasn't just a sound, it was a physical sensation. And then the numbers started. It was a woman's voice, monotone, emotionless, like a machine trying to remember what it felt like to be human. She spoke in English, but the cadence was all wrong. The pauses between the words were too long, as if she were reading from a list of things she didn't understand. 4. Pause. 4. Pause. 1. Pause. 2, she said. Then a long, agonizing silence. 0. 9, 8, 1. In the world of radio, these are known as number stations. Most are remnants of the Cold War, secret codes sent to spies in the field who have long since been forgotten. But this was different. This wasn't coming from a government transmitter in Russia or a military base in the UK. My signal strength meter was pinned to the max. Whatever was broadcasting this was close. It was practically in my backyard. I began to log the numbers. Every night at exactly 2 a.m., the broadcast would start. I filled 3 notebooks with her sequences. I became obsessed. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering my phone. I sat in the dark, bathed in the green glow of my receiver, waiting for her voice like a lover waiting for a secret. Sleep deprivation began to warp the edges of my reality. The basement, once my sanctuary for electronics and soldering, slowly transformed into a cold concrete cell. I would sit for hours staring at the dust motes dancing in the orange glow of the radio's vacuum tubes, convinced they were moving in patterns dictated by the woman's voice. My skin felt too tight, humming with the same 60-cycle vibration as the power lines outside my window. I started seeing her in the static. Not a face, but the suggestion of a silhouette flickering just behind the green waves on the oscilloscope. I stopped eating. The only thing that had any flavor was the metallic tang of the air near the receiver, heavy with the scent of hot lead and ozone. I became convinced that if I missed even one sequence of numbers, the world would somehow tilt off its axis. I was becoming a ghost in my own home, haunting a machine that was slowly, methodically eating my mind. The breakthrough happened on the 14th night. I was listening back to a recording of a previous broadcast, my headphones pressed so hard against my ears that they were bleeding. Underneath the woman's voice, I heard something, a background noise. At first I thought it was just signal bleed, but then I heard it clearly. A dog barking, and then a car door slamming. My blood ran cold. Those weren't just random sounds. I recognized that bark. It was Buster, the golden retriever from the house 3 doors down. And that car door, it had the distinct heavy thud of my neighbor's old Ford truck. The broadcast wasn't coming from a secret bunker in the desert. It was being recorded right here, in my neighborhood. Or maybe inside my house while I slept. I took a portable receiver and went outside. The air was freezing, but I didn't feel it. I felt like I was made of static myself. I followed the signal. The closer I got to the edge of the woods behind my property, the clearer the voice became. It was so loud now that it was vibrating through the plastic casing of the radio in my hand. I found the source near an old abandoned drainage pipe. Tucked into the hollow of an ancient oak tree was a small black box. It had no brand name, no serial number, just a single long antenna and a small spinning tape reel that moved with a hypnotic clicking sound. I reached for it, my hand trembling so hard I could barely extend my fingers. I intended to smash it. I wanted the silence back. But as my hand closed around the cold metal, the voice changed. It wasn't the woman anymore. It was my voice. On the recording, I heard myself speaking. But I wasn't saying numbers. I was crying. I was begging for someone to turn it off. I heard the sound of my own footsteps running through the leaves, the exact crunching sound I was making in that very moment. It was a perfect, real-time reflection of my own terror. He's at the tree now, my own voice whispered through the speaker. He's reaching for the box. He's going to see the date. He's going to understand that the signal isn't a broadcast. It's a countdown. I looked at the small screen on the box. It wasn't showing frequencies anymore. It was a digital timer, the red numbers bleeding into the dark of the forest floor. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 5, 15 seconds. I didn't wait to see what happened when it hit 0. I turned and ran. I didn't stop until I reached my house. I locked the doors, I pulled the curtains, I stayed in the middle of the floor with a kitchen knife until the sun came up, listening to the silence of my house, which now felt like a predator waiting to strike. The next morning I went back to the tree. The box was gone. There was no sign that anyone had been there, no footprints, no bent branches, no crushed leaves. It was as if the earth itself had opened up and swallowed the evidence of my own voice. I sold my equipment that afternoon. I moved to a different city, a place with more noise, more people, more distractions. I don't listen to the radio anymore. I've destroyed every receiver I owned. But sometimes, when the room is very quiet, or when I'm standing in a crowded subway station, I hear a faint metallic hiss in my ear, and a woman's voice far away, as if calling from across an ocean of static, whispers 4 numbers, my birth year, and today's date. It seems the countdown didn't stop at the tree, it just reset, and I'm still waiting for it to hit 0. Was this the truth? Or was it a nightmare I built in the dark to distract myself from a lonely life? You decide. But tell me, have you checked your radio lately?